welcome to Auto Shenanigans. How the devil are you? Have you had a good week? My name is John. Thank you very much for joining me for another exciting episode of Secrets of the Motorway. You join me on the south side of Exeter in Devon, just by junction 31 of the M5, and indeed it'll be the M5 motorway that we're exploring today, but because reasons, we'll be doing it in reverse, starting at junction 31 and making our way up the motorway to its end at Birmingham. Or start, depending on how you look at it. The M5 motorway is around 163 miles long, so no hanging about, we better get on with it. First up, just after leaving junction 31, the motorway crosses over the River Exe and the Exeter Shipping Canal. The Shipping Canal is one of the oldest man-made waterways in the country and dates back as far as 1560. In 1677, the canal was extended to where I am now, and a lock entrance was added here at Taunton, which is still in place today, albeit not used by boats. Now, I had read that the lockkeeper's cottage had been converted into a lovely coffee house. However, looking at it, I'm not sure if that's the case, so I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer to get my next coffee, I think. At junction 30, if you come off the motorway and chuck a right down Sidmouth Road, you'll arrive in the village of Clyst-St-Mary. Or is it Clyst? I don't know, it sounds like some sort of disease, or I can't come into work today, I've gone and got that Clyst-St-Mary disease. But anyway, head down here and you might find this abandoned road. This road came about after the A376 that runs alongside was turned into a dual carriageway and a roundabout added by the village entrance. Interestingly, this was all done before the M5 came about, so I can only assume it was done in preparation for when the M5 was added at a later stage. We've actually come to see this bridge. Why? Because it's old. How old? Well old. In fact, this bridge dates back as far as 1238. There are actually two bridges like this to be found here, and they're both on a 600-foot causeway that carries the road across the Clyst floodplains. This road used to be the main way in and out of the village, but following the aforementioned road upgrades, the village has been bypassed, leaving these two medieval bridges and stretch of road behind. Between junctions 29 and 28, the southbound carriageway has a secret junction linking the motorway to the B3181. On the motorway there are signs saying police only, and it's a bit strange because usually you'd expect another junction on the opposite carriageway, but that's not the case here. And looking at the condition of the slip road here, it seems that it's probably not been used in quite a long time. We're up at junction 25 now, and this stretch of the M5 is probably remembered by most as the location of one of the largest accidents we've seen on UK roads. In 2011, a multi-vehicle accident occurred on the northbound carriageway where 34 cars and lorries piled into one another, creating an enormous fireball and a scene of absolute devastation. 7 people lost their lives and 51 were severely injured. Initially, the blame was put on to organisers of a firework display at the Taunton Rugby Club, which sits right next to the M5. It was suggested that the smoke from their display drifted across the motorway, causing poor visibility, and that was why the accident occurred. However, on investigation, it was concluded that whilst it was certainly possible the firework display may not have helped matters, the actual cause of the accident was due to the poor weather conditions. Specifically, thick fog across the carriageway, and it was decided that the fireworks display was not a contributing factor to the accident. Between junctions 24 and 23 is where we find Willow Man, a 12-metre sculpture created by wrapping willow in and around a 3-ton steel frame. Now, straight away, we've got a bit of a problem, because here's what it used to look like, and here's what it looks like now. Oh dear! This sculpture or art piece was first unveiled in September 2000, before being burned down by arsonists in May 2001. It was rebuilt by the artist, but this time a 40-metre circular moat was added to prevent any future vandalism. I would have to say that the moat is incredibly effective because, as we can see, it's fucked, meaning even the maintenance teams can't access it. Not long after leaving junction 23, you'll drive under Batch Road, and immediately after there's another bridge. This bridge used to carry a railway across the M5, but it's not really the railway that's that interesting, it's more the site that it used to serve. If you follow the railway along on Google Maps, you'll find that it ends at this sort of big expanse of meh. This is the site of the former ROF Bridgwater. ROF stands for Royal Ordnance Factory, which is the fancy way of saying we make stuff go boom. It opened in 1941 and carried on working right up until its closure in 2008. An interesting feature of the site is the nearby Huntsville River. It was built specifically to provide the factory with some of the several millions of gallons of water required in the munitions manufacturing process. Again, on Google Maps you'll notice where they used to draw water down from the river in what looks to me like a series of ponds. The site was sold to somebody with lots of money in 2018, and they're busy converting it into a low-carbon smart campus. Whatever that is. Their plans are certainly ambitious, but if it all goes ahead, then this abandoned railway might see a train run along it once more. We're up at Weston-super-Mare now, or junction 21, and it's here that we find another art installation that's been mostly forgotten about. It's called Travelling Light, and what was once a beacon of joy welcoming you to the West Country and Weston-super-Mare, it's now a piece of not my job, mate, and nobody actually knows who's really responsible for it. It was commissioned in 2005 by Persimmon Homes. It stands at 13 metres tall, and it's got 2,000 LEDs built in, which are all computer controlled, allowing it to display all kinds of effects and patterns. It's got a mirror finish, which is designed to reflect the natural light in the daytime when the LEDs wouldn't be running. It was sold as part of a land sale to an insurance company. They had plans to build a premises here, but it doesn't look like that's ever happened. And it's not actually clear if the insurance company still own the tower or accept responsibility for it. In any case, this installation has suffered at the hands of vandals. As a result, it no longer works, so this shining tower of wonderment sits dark in the night. At junction 19, you'll find the Portbury docks. And this place is absolutely massive. It deals with the majority of vehicle imports and exports for the UK. And this would explain the absolute acres and acres and acres of car storage. I've never seen anything like it. Just up from here, and the M5 crosses over the River Avon on the Avonmouth Bridge. It was built in 1974 and features quite a steep gradient to achieve 100 foot of clearance underneath to allow for larger ships to pass. When it was first built, it carried 3 lanes of traffic in each direction across its 1,388 metre length. Over the course of 5 years, from 1995 to 2000, the M5 was widened across the bridge, giving us 4 lanes in each direction. This was achieved by slimming down the hard shoulder rather than building anything new. At junction 16, we find the Almondsbury Interchange, and number 3 of 3 4-stack interchanges that we've been looking out for over the course of the series. This is where the M4 and the M5 meet, and right next door is the unmissable 60-metre high RAC tower, a structure that's instantly recognisable as it towers above the surrounding motorways. It's the home of their training and sales offices mainly, and the glass room elevated above the main building is used as a viewing point and for meetings. When it came to the construction of their head office, the RAC wanted something a little bit different and more striking from the usual kind of building, and it's fair to say architect firm Grimshaw have definitely delivered. Not only is there the tower, but the main building itself is worth a mention because it's a sort of triangular cam-shaped Dorito thing. It's time for a well-deserved coffee break, I think, and we've pulled into Michaelwood Services on the M5 northbound. It sits between junctions 14 and 13. I've stopped here because when we visited last year as part of our All the Motorway service station series, we learned that the footbridge linking the two sides together was removed in 2018 following health and safety concerns. However, I'm thrilled to say that as of this year, a new footbridge has been installed, which you can see behind me. I'm standing over here because it's not open to the public yet. And that's it really, we just came to see that bridge, so we best crack on we go. Not far from the services is the site of Stroud Autograss Race Circuit. This race circuit opened in the 1960s following a meeting in the pub, and they've been holding race events ever since. Autograss is a racing discipline that involves an oval track, usually on soil or dirt, with competitors battling it out in races over 4 to 10 laps in vehicles specifically designed for the rough surfaces. Between junctions 8 and 7, we'll find a secret junction. These are quite commonplace on the motorways, but if it's your first time joining us, be sure to subscribe, but let me explain. These junctions are often used by emergency services as turning around points, or they allow access for maintenance vehicles. And sometimes if there's a large accident, they can be used as an impromptu junction to direct traffic off the main carriageway. At junction 2, we don't find anything interesting or secret, so consider this more consumer advice. Right on the motorway junction, there's an Asda supermarket and filling station. It's not a motorway services, and as a result doesn't carry motorway service station prices, so rather than fill up at, say, the nearby Frankley services, come here instead and save a few quid. After leaving junction 2, the M5 is elevated above the surrounding area all the way up to junction 1 on a large bridge. You'll soon cross over a railway and a canal, and it's here that we find the Stewart Aqueduct. This aqueduct carries the old Birmingham Canal that was built in 1770 over the newer section of canal that was built in 1828. I say new. For a short while, these canals run underneath and in line with the M5 before making their way south towards Smethwick. If you continue past junction 1 of the M5, you'll eventually be met with the M6 where the two motorways merge. It's a fancy T-junction really, and it's called the Ray Hall Triangle, and it's reported to be one of the busiest interchanges in the country. The name comes from a farm that used to be situated on the site before the motorways came along, and there's also Ray Hall Lane that passes underneath the south side of the interchange. So there we are guys, that's the M5 and all we've got time for this week. I hope you liked the video. If you did, there's a button specifically for that, and I'm absolutely on a mission to reach 100,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. That would be wicked sweet awesome. Enjoy the rest of your week, whatever whatever you get up to. My name's John, you've been watching Auto Shenanigans, and I'll see you guys next time for another exciting episode of Secrets of the Motorway. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.